here if anybody requires a follow-up link to the meeting recording. We can circulate that after the fact. My name is Paul Krotz. I'm the Director of Communications from the Professional Women's Hockey League, and very excited to um, offer this media availability with you all to get excited and promote the upcoming PWHL Takeover Tour, in particular our first three games in Seattle, Vancouver, and Denver beginning in early January. To help drum up some excitement, we've got some players with some local connections and familiarity with the communities that we're going to be playing in. Members of the PWHL's competing teams from the Boston Fleet. We've got Hilary Knight from the Montreal Victoire. We've from the Toronto Sceptres rookie Rylind MacKinnon. We'll take questions in just a minute. If you want to ask a question, please use the Zoom console to raise your digital hand. We'll get to the Q&A in just a moment. First, I think it's best we hear from the players and their preliminary thoughts about the exciting games ahead. So, Hilary, we'll begin with you. Hilary, you're from Sun Valley, Idaho, towards the western part of the United States, but you do have familiarity with Seattle, having played there at the rivalry series before. Just maybe your thoughts on the excitement about the PWHL Takeover Tour and the opportunity to play in Seattle.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. I think, any opportunity to have an outreach or currently out of market game for us is a critical one for the growth of the game and also our league. And to be able to play in Climate Pledge Arena in Seattle area, I mean, we're super excited. I have the privilege, as you said, to play during the rivalry series, and that was a spectacular crowd. So really looking forward to another crowd in a true sports city. And you're going to get a phenomenal game. So excited to get out there and excited for puck drop.
Thanks, Hilary. The Fleet will be up against the Montreal Victoire. From the Victoire, as we say, we have Jen Gardiner. The Victoire will also be playing in Vancouver, BC, not too far from Jen's hometown of Surrey. So, Jen, your thoughts on, in fact, the three games that you'll be playing in over the course of the Takeover Tour, but I'm sure you've got the Vancouver game circled on your calendar with playing close to friends and family. You can elaborate on that for us.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, definitely had the Vancouver game circled since I heard about it. It's been pretty exciting for a lot of friends and family back home, but I think more importantly, just for the entire female game and the growth that we've seen with hockey, having all the PWHL teams out east, but now all the girls out west being able to watch these games in Seattle, Vancouver, Denver. It's going to be an incredible opportunity, and I'm just really grateful that we get to play in those games as well, but more excited to continue to grow the game and have great competition out west too.
Another BC native participating in the game at Rogers Arena is Rylind MacKinnon, a rookie with the Toronto Sceptres. Rylind, your excitement about playing in that game close to home.
Yeah, a lot of excitement. Looking forward to bringing the game to out west to Vancouver and playing in Rogers Arena. I was lucky enough to play university out there for 6 years, so looking forward to seeing a lot of that hockey community come out to that game and some players I played with and coaches that I met along the way. So yeah, it's really exciting and looking forward to it.
And from the Minnesota Frost, goaltender Nicole Hensley playing close to home. Grew up in Lakewood, Colorado, very familiar with Denver. I'm sure it's exciting for you to return
Hi guys, yeah, super excited to get to play a game in Denver. I think the last time I did that was in high school.
close to your
So
roots, Nicole, if you can share your thoughts ahead of that game.
sorry, yeah, super excited to yeah go out to Colorado and play. The last time I played in Colorado was in high school, so definitely excited to get back there and continue to grow the game.
Great. We'll take questions now. Again, if you have a question for Jen, Ryland, Nicole, or Hillary, please raise your hand. I'll call upon everyone and ask you to unmute. When you do ask your question, we ask that you please introduce yourself and the media outlet that you are representing. And we'll begin with Donna Spencer, please.
Hi, this question is for Ryland. I think, well, Paul will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're one of two Canadian university players in the PWHL right now, and I'm interested to know what it means to you, Ryland, to be one of those two, and what it takes, particularly for a Canadian university player, to make this league.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely not the traditional route I think to the league, but and playing in Vancouver even I think will expose some more of this league to, those Western Canadian universities. So I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, it's yeah, I feel very grateful to be playing in the league currently and hope it inspires other Canadian athletes as well to, strive for that as well.
My follow-up question is, I think part of this takeover tour is to also test potential expansion markets. And sort of circling back to my original question, I mean, do you see expansion potentially opening up more job opportunity for Canadian university players?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the hope. As long as the skill and the competition is still at a high level, I think that's a great opportunity. And hopefully, the skill development in the Canadian League can also start to improve a little bit more as well, now that there is a professional women's hockey league. So I think, yeah, I think it's good to see where the game's going and that prospect now for Canadian students.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I see a creative hand raised by Glenn, so I'll let you put down the paper and go ahead with your question, please.
Yeah, I'm technologically challenged. I couldn't find my raised hand, but thank you. My name's Glenn Dreyfus. I'm a writer with an online site that covers the Kraken, Davy Jones Locker Room. And I'd like to ask a question of each of the two players who will be playing in the Seattle game. Hilary first. Hilary, with 2 goals and 1 assist in your first 3 games, we should point out. You've played in all 3 women's professional leagues in North America, and I'm guessing that there's a sustainability with the PWHL that maybe wasn't quite there the same way in the past. Can you describe what it was like then and what it's like now?
Yeah, I think just to keep it simple, the leagues that I've been a part of and grateful to be a part of, and all the amazing people and fans and whatnot, was more of a semi-pro model, and this is a professional one. And so I'd say that's the biggest difference, is being able to have this a career path and go to the rink every single day as if it were, a normal work day, and have the facilities and the support staff to support us to be able to play at an elite level. So I'd say that's the biggest difference. This league is something we haven't seen before. And so I think that's what's extremely exciting for the future, and the commitment that ownership has made to the players and the player experience, and how that's going to evolve, over the course of the CBA.
And you've talked often about inclusivity and equality. Can you speak about where we are now on that score and where we still need to go to be where you want to be?
Yeah, I think, hockey as a whole has, lengths to go. And I think, whether it's the women's side or the men's side or, grassroots all the way up, I think everyone has their part and their share to make sure that this game is as inclusive as possible. And if you can play, you can play. So, I know the PWHL has had different initiatives and continues to partner with different organizations to try and, carve out a great path and lead by example from that standpoint. And so it's a true honor to be part of an organization that believes in, making a more inclusive and equitable playing field for all of us.
And Jen, as a 2-time champion at Ohio State, Maddie Beniers and Kraken assistant GM Jason Botterill at one time were both big men on campus at the University of Michigan. So if you run into either one of them at Climate Pledge Arena, should they expect a handshake or a cross check?
Yeah, I think the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry will always live on and will always be something a part of my everyday life. But I mean, if I see them, it would obviously be an honor to shake their hand and probably nothing else. But yeah, super excited to get to play in Seattle, and it's going to be a huge opportunity for the game.
And you scored the game tying goal in the third period of your first ever pro game, which Montreal went on to win in a shootout. So, how did it feel being a freshman again after 4 years as a Buckeye?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of nerves that come with playing your first professional game. I think being at Ohio State for so long and then starting on a new team, there's nerves, excitement, adrenaline, and all of that. But it was a phenomenal atmosphere, and playing in my first game was everything I ever dreamed of. And yeah, just excited to have the whole rest of the season. And it's pretty hard to believe that this is the new reality because it's an incredible experience.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Glenn. We'll go next to John Worrell, please.
Thanks, Paul. John Worrell with the Associated Press. I've got two questions. One's for Nicole. You talked about the last time we played in Denver, I guess was a high school rink. How big was the rink, and how many have you ever played at the Avalanche rink or attended games there?
Yeah, it was a pretty small rink, so this will be a little bit different. I attended a lot of Avs games growing up in Ball Arena, and then I think the most prominent women's game I'd ever been to there was actually Hilary was playing in the lead up to 2010, and that was in the Pioneers rinks. So this will, hopefully have a bigger crowd than that one did. I know that one was sold out, but being a bigger venue, yeah, it'll be a little bit different to be on the ice than in the stands there.
And, actually, well, just as a follow-up to you, Nicole, how special will it be to be playing a game in your hometown?
It's gonna be really special. I'm not gonna lie, I've been looking forward to it for a while when I heard that might be our game. So yeah, I have a lot of friends and family coming. So yeah, just looking forward to them getting to see me play in my hometown.
And for Hillary, I'm looking ahead to expansion, and how much do you think when it comes? I know this is outside of it's a bigger, a higher pay scale than you have, but how much do you think market is? How do you balance market versus geography? Say the PWHL expands out west to Denver, Seattle, or Vancouver. How much do you think geography may play a lesser factor than market stability and desire, or how do you balance that? If you get what I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great question. And I'm sure anybody launching a league is, trying to weigh that answer as well. I know there's some awesome hockey markets out west that are sort of untapped. I know there was a women's league well before the CWHL days up in the Vancouver area, and they did tremendously well up there. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it just depends how much money you're willing to spend on the transportation part of it and getting into a new community. But again, I think as you said, I'm not really in charge of expansion. Would I love to see teams out west? Absolutely. I think it's a prime hockey market, especially in the States, and obviously proven in Canada. So really there's no sky or ceiling to where this league can go. And I think that's what's super exciting is we're able to have these outreach games and sort of test markets. And, will we be there in a few years? Who knows? But how exciting to be able to have the opportunity to play there.
Thanks so much.
John, go next to C. Benwell, please.
Thanks, Paul. Hi, C. Benwell from the Hockey News and GameDay Hockey. My question is for Jen. Since Montreal is the team that is taking part in basically a Western road trip, what do you think that's going to be like? For physically, the toll that takes to go out west and have the time change. I know there's a little bit of a break before, you have to do that and get used to skating at those times. But then you've got 3 pretty quick games over like 9 days before you get back. Could you just tell us what you think that might be like as a team having to kind of take on a little bit heavier workload than the other teams?
Yeah, I think honestly, there's just a lot of excitement around it so far. I think a lot of players are just talking about exploring these new cities and getting to tap into these new markets rather than the toll it's going to take on us. If I'm being honest, I feel like I haven't stopped smiling since I heard about these games out west rather than thinking about how they're going to be. So, yeah, I haven't thought about it too much, but I think it'll be just a lot of adrenaline and excitement throughout the whole trip. And everyone's pretty pumped to get out west, and we'll take it as a team bonding trip.
Okay, thank you very much.
Next to Jolene Latimer, please.
Unmute. Jolene with the score. I have two questions, and they're both kind of the same topics that everyone's been talking around. So first, Hilary, for you, when you're having casual conversations about hockey, how often do people ask you about the topic of expansion? Just friends, family, fans?
Pretty much every conversation. Everyone wants to know where the expansion markets are and if I know anything. And I think it's awesome from, as long as it doesn't get too old, I think it's awesome from the standpoint people are super interested on where the PWHL's next step is. And so that's really exciting to see this, essentially be out of a startup to now potentially expanding, and everyone wants to get the inside scoop. So it's exciting from that standpoint.
Cool. And then Nicole, just for you, I'm curious, you've talked a little bit about how much fun it would be to play in Colorado, but what's your sense of the growth of women's hockey in the state and the support that's already in the state for women's hockey?
Yeah, I think girls hockey's grown quite a bit since I was playing when I was young. There was only one girls association in the entire state, and when I started playing, my family we didn't know about it, so I just started playing with the boys. Now there's an abundance of options for girls to play either with the boys or with the girls, and so the numbers have been rising steadily for a long time. And I was fortunate enough to take Walter back this summer and get to see do a meet and greet that was really cool to be able to bring that out there and to see the excitement and of that was after the news of expansion. So all of them kept asking if Colorado was an option. So it's definitely grown a lot since I was a kid and continues to grow. And yeah, I've gotten a lot of excited texts from coaches and people involved with youth hockey out there. So yeah, I think it's an exciting time for girls hockey in Colorado.
And as a quick follow-up to that, when you took the trophy out there, what did you do with it? Did you have like people over for a bonfire, or did you go to like anywhere? Just curious what you did with it.
The first thing I did was take it to my favorite ice cream shop, and eat ice cream out of it. I did a meet and greet with local girls associations, and I took it to the 5280 step, where Denver is actually a mile high. So I took it to that step on the Capitol, and then I took it out to Red Rocks, and did some pictures and stuff with it there, and then just hung out with my family and friends. So it was a jam-packed day, but it was a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thank you.
Go next to Ben, please.
Uh, Thanks so much for doing this. This one's for Jen. But growing up in the Vancouver area, where have you seen women's and girls hockey from when you were younger? And then also, where do you see it kind of now in terms of, that development point? And would Vancouver potentially be ready for an expansion women's team? Because women's sport haven't really had a prominent spot in Vancouver over the last while.
Yeah, I feel like growing up, it was obviously hard to watch the women's game nationally or anything, but my biggest memory is probably hosting the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver and being able to watch that. And just that's kind of the biggest memory that I have, but I think it's super exciting. I know for the Vancouver game, it sold out in just a couple of days, and all of the girls organizations that are local are basically all coming in their entirety with staff and teams, and there's a blackout on that day as well, so there's no games being played for those organizations so that all those players can attend. So I just think to see something like that, it goes to show how important it is to continue to expand this league and get these games all over North America, because people want to watch it and people want to be part of it. And so as soon as the league gives that opportunity, it's really cool to see everyone taking advantage. And yeah, I'm really excited to get to play that game. It's something I've always dreamed of doing, getting to play close to home.
And just a follow up for Ryland as well. But did you ever feel isolated from women's pro sports or the women's hockey, since it's all kind of isolated to that Eastern Seaboard area being in BC?
Yeah, maybe like a bit growing up and whatnot through university and stuff, but it's exciting. I mean, with this takeover now, and it's obviously, it's popular, as Jen mentioned, everyone in the city is going to be there, all the girls organizations. So it's exciting to see, but I think, yeah, the more we include the West, the bigger the game's going to get, and that's exciting.
Thanks so much.
Take our next question from Carolyn, please.
Hi, this is Caroline Ann. I'm one of the editors at the Pacific Division over at the Hockey News. And my question is for Hilary. You played Seattle in 2022 for the rivalry match, and it was one of the most attended events at the arena. The reactions from the fans was pretty intense. I was wondering, I'm from Boston myself. I know what the fan base can be like over there. I was wondering, with your experience, do you think the energy that Seattle brought to that event maybe matched what you experienced in Boston? And what are you looking forward to coming back to the Pacific Northwest for this event?
Yeah, to be honest, I have yet to experience a crowd like the one that we played in front of at Climate Pledge. I mean, that was so special. And I know as we get along and get more established in the community here in the greater Boston area, we're going to have something similar, but Seattle holds a special place in my mind, and that's why I'm super excited, hopefully, to be able to share that same experience with other teammates, whether it's on the fleet or on the Montreal team. And so, what an incredible arena! It's built for sound, so it's super loud in there, and you can really feel all the emotions of the game. So it's definitely a special venue for us.
And in a follow-up on that, I know that some of the players will be participating in a girls' practice at the Kraken Community Iceplex on the 4th. I was wondering if maybe you were going to be participating in that. Seattle does actually have a pretty large girls' youth hockey program, and we do have a lot of Seattle women's hockey players. I can only assume it's going to be pretty loud. All the fans watching that event, and I was just wondering if you were participating.
Yeah, I'm unsure which events I'm going to be involved with specifically out there, but having involvement in the past, it was so much fun. The Kraken have done a tremendous job of really getting involved at the grassroots level, and it's so important to the game. I think we see the NHL stars on the biggest stages, and we really sometimes fail to realize the development aspect and what the club is doing at such a small level in local communities. So I think that's what's also special about being in the Seattle area, is not only a great sports city, but also very caring and a keen eye for developing sort of that grassroots level. So yeah, it's obviously, as you can tell, it's a favorite place for me. So I'm really excited to return and get involved.
Thank you.
John Barr, please.
Hi, John Barr from Sound of Hockey out here in Seattle as well. It's kind of a question for Nicole and Hilary. Obviously, there's some changes year over year, season over season. Obviously, logos and names are. But what are some things that have changed in the league already that you've noticed from season over season?
I'll go first. I think last year, especially at the beginning, was a real learning curve for everyone. Everything we were doing was brand new to pretty much everyone involved, players, staff alike. So I think at least in our market, everything is really streamlined this year. Kind of know exactly what to expect on a day-to-day basis on your road trips for your home games. So I'd say as smooth as everything went last year, I would say it's going even smoother this year. I would say the play has probably last year at the beginning of the year, you've got everyone trying to get to know each other. People have never played together before, and now you kind of got people who have an understanding of, the systems you're running, the people you're playing with. So I think it's just made it easier to play at an even higher level, and I think you'll continue to see that as the season goes on.
Yeah, and I'd echo the same thoughts. There's more familiarity with the structure and how to be a pro. I think all of us have played at an elite level, and there's definitely some learning curves last year, but having the familiarity makes this year feel easier from a structure standpoint and understanding the rhythm of the schedules and the demands and really knowing where to spend energy and how to spend energy and recover and whatnot.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Tyler, you can go ahead, please.
Thanks, Paul. Tyler Kuehl here from Daily Faceoff. I'm going to start off for Rylind here. Rylind, being from the BC area and being from the Northwest, it seems like whenever Toronto and Montreal play in these games, they always bring a good crowd. Obviously, the record-breaking crowds, both at Scotiabank and Bell Center last year, were great, and now we're coming back to Vancouver here, where Hilary might remember in 2010, a very raucous crowd when Canada won the gold medal in the Olympic Games there. How excited are you for that kind of atmosphere? Maybe that similar kind of an atmosphere for a regular season game, let alone the Olympics?
Yeah, I think I'm really excited. I mean, in university, I think the most I've ever played in front of was maybe just over 1,000. So I think just the first few games here of the PWHL have already surpassed that by many, and then it'll be quite the atmosphere. I'm really excited to take it in and have some familiar faces in the crowd as well.
And a follow-up here for Nicole. Nicole, obviously you and Hilary has had the opportunity to play in a lot of big rivalry series games all across North America, which has been awesome to see. Is there a market on this takeover tour that you see, or maybe one that that's not on the takeover tour schedule here, that you think would be the best spot for a potential next franchise in the PWHL from your eyes?
I think if you look at all the markets we're going to this year or went to last year, I think all are probably great candidates. I'm obviously partial to St. Louis and Denver, just having ties there. But yeah, I think Chicago also could be a great spot. But I think it's great that we're having these opportunities to see these different markets and yeah, see what could be in the future and hopefully opening the door to not just what's already been said about possible expansion, but even further into the future.
Awesome. Thank you both very much.
Thanks, Tyler. At this time, I see no further questions. However, I will invite any follow-ups or new questions. I know we've reached the 30 minutes, but the women are happy to stay on and address any further follow-ups or questions if there are any. Go ahead, please, John.
Yeah, again, for Hilary and Nicole, wondering, when you think about what the right side, I know, Hilary, you've played in quite a few rinks in the pro, both with the Pride and other teams, but I'm wondering what the right size is for a women's professional team, because I know, like, you do these tentpole events and they sell out all the time, and it'd be great if you could sell those out. But is there a right size you think of the arena when it comes to what you'd like to play in, or what you think is the right size?
It's actually a great question. I'm hoping that all the data that the league's collecting and we get to a point where we're able to have our own venues and arenas, that we will have an answer to that. Because I feel like I could just give you an answer and it's not necessarily true, right? You could say, oh, a few years ago, 3,000 to 5,000, and now that would be too small. So, I'm really excited again with the future and where this league can be. And the women have never had a facility that really, takes all of our needs into account and has been built for women's hockey. So I think, looking at the future, that's just sort of a hopeful place that we can get to. So really excited to have some data collected to really tell us what those venues look like.
Yeah, I would echo Hilary's sentiments on that.
All right, thank you.
John Warrow, please.
Yeah, hi, Nicole. I'm working on a story on the impact rookies have made. I know we're only 3 games into the season for all teams, but how much more depth is on, do you see on the ice, given how the rookies, the caliber of rookies have come in and how they may have improved the game? What have you noticed from that aspect?
Yeah, I think every team's rookies have made big impacts on their team. We already talked about Jen's big goal for Montreal early in the season, and we've been fortunate that Dom Petrie and Britta Curl are doing well early on. So I think it just shows like the potential of growth for the league in general, and I think it's definitely added depth to every single team. Every single team made improvements during this off season. So I think it just shows how much more potential growth there is within the league.
And a similar question for you, Hilary, just from that perspective, with the added point of, are you surprised that Alex and Sarah Fillier are clicking so well so quickly?
Not surprised at all. I mean, those are two great players. We've seen them go against each other on the world stage. So the fact that they're finding success together is just it's great for them. Not so great for the rest of us on this call, but no, I'm not surprised.
Thank you.
See?
Hi, thanks, Paul. I wonder if each one of you would mind telling us, since these these games are being played at NHL arenas, what was your favorite NHL team growing up, whether it's your hometown team or other, and does now playing in a different city make you have an attachment to the local NHL team? You're doing a little bit of crossover, wearing each other's jerseys, that kind of thing. Could you spill the beans on that a little bit for us? Thank you.
Hilary, you want to go first?
Sure. I guess, growing up, my favorite team was probably the Chicago Wolves, the AHL team, because the Blackhawks weren't necessarily on TV. So I'd say the NHL club, if I had to choose, is probably the Detroit Red Wings, which was the closest one. And yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome now to really be a fan of the game and see, players, and obviously there's a lot of movement to different markets. So I see, not necessarily like a diehard fan, but definitely a fan of the players and following their careers and whatnot.
Cool. You want to go next?
Yeah, growing up, I was a huge Avalanche fan. Was fortunate enough to go to a lot of games and yeah, watch them on TV. Obviously being in Minnesota and the Wild are having such a great year right now. The city's very excited about hockey in general, and yeah, a lot of great hockey fans up here for both the Wild and for us. So yeah, definitely grown into a little bit of a Wild fan, but not too much.
Jen?
I also grew up a Canucks fan. Just being from Vancouver and being able to go to a lot of those games was really cool. But since living in Montreal, I've become a Canadiens fan. It's been fun to get to go to their rink and see their atmosphere and a lot of talented players on the ice. So yeah, definitely turning into a Canadiens fan now.
Ryland?
Yeah, for some reason I was always a Penguins fan. But after being in, Vancouver for so many years now, yeah, I've been following along with the Canucks. And so, yeah, it's exciting to play in Rogers as well, and looking forward to that.
Thank you. That's great information. I appreciate it.
Seeing no further hands, I think that'll put a wrap on our media availability. I want to thank Hilary, Nicole, Ryland, and Jen for their time this afternoon, and we certainly look forward to seeing them on the ice this coming week in PWHL action, but of course in Seattle, Vancouver, and Denver when the PWHL Takeover Tour kicks off. For media on the call, we really appreciate your coverage and support. If you have any follow-up inquiries, please email press@thepwhl.com. That includes details about credentials for the Takeover Tour, as well as local schedules for when these teams are in market. Thanks everybody again for your participation today, and this will conclude the call.